ever worked with a coding language like Python or SQL, this is going to look very similar to you. So I'm going to show you guys a couple quick examples. The first one's going to be easy, and the second one is going to be an actual use case. This first example is going to be simple. We have x equals 2 and we have y equals 3, and we're going to use the let function to assign these variables to those numbers. So we're going to say let, and name one is going to be x, and what are we setting x equal to? Well, that's going to be this cell, which is 2. The next argument, we can assign another variable. So we're going to say y, and what are we setting y equal to? Well, 3. So now that we've assigned x and y to those cells, which are 2 and 3, we can say in the next argument, x times y, and that gives us 6. Because x equals 2 and y equals 3 using our let formula. Now you're probably wondering to yourself, why wouldn't we just do equals that times that? That would be way quicker. Yes, in this case it would, but I just wanted to demonstrate an example of how the let function works. Now I'm going to show you another example where it would actually be useful. In this next example, let's say we have a list of employees and each of their sales for Q1, Q2, and Q3. We want to grade them based on the average of their 3 quarters of sales. If we wanted to assign each employee a grade based on their average sales, we would have to use a nested if formula. We could also use ifs, but I'm going to use a nested if for this example, so it would look something like this. So what you'll notice going through this formula is that each time you make a logical argument, you have to specify the average of B2 through D2, the average of B2 through D2, average B2 through D2. And if you kept having nested ifs, that can get pretty long and cumbersome. So here's how we can use let to speed this formula up. We're going to go in here and we're going to say equals let, and we're going to name our variable average. Just AVG, keep it nice and short, and I'll show you why. So our variable name is average. Now keep in mind that you can name this whatever you want. I just named it average because it's going to be easier to type down the line in the formula, but just keep in mind that you typically want to name your object something that other people can understand if they were to look at your formula, and it's also easier for you to remember and understand. And we're going to set that variable AVG equal to the average of the sales. Now what we can do is say calculation or name2. This is where we're going to do our nested if function. So now we can say if AVG, which remember is equal to the average already, if AVG is greater than 700, excellent. If AVG is greater than 500, good. If AVG is greater than 300, okay. And anything less than 300 is going to be bad. And when we close that, you can see that we'll get the same results, but in a case like this where you're doing a long nested if, it made sense where we just named average equal to the average, and then all we had to do, instead of typing average and then drag it across each time in our logical arguments, we can just use that AVG variable that we assigned at the beginning. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, let isn't always going to be a function that you're going to want to use. It can slow you down like I showed in the first example here, but in cases where you want to assign a variable and you continuously use that same variable throughout your long formula, it will definitely speed up the process like in this example.